Welcome back, YouTubers, to another budget bike review. Yes, I did say in the last video that I made for the Sprint ST 1050. Yeah, I did say that was probably going to be the last bike of the year. Turns out no, because I decided to sell it, basically. And as always with these kind of things, what I did is I said, basically part X, what have you got, up or down, as in, you know, I'll put some money towards something a little bit better, or you can put something, some cash my way, as it were, with something a little bit, you know, less value, as it were. And then this guy came along. He was relatively local, which is always nice. And he's got this. It's a Suzuki Bandit 1200N, a case 6, which is the last year they did these until they made the 1250. So there's some quite unusual little things on here which I can't quite get my head around. So this is the 2007. Now, one of the reasons I decided to change the Sprint ST 1050 straight over, I mean, I just did a complete swap, no cash changed hands, nothing, was the Sprint ST had a very common problem with the eccentric hub at the back, which meant they basically get stuck and you can't adjust the chain anymore. Well, I tell a lie, you can adjust the chain, but you can't adjust it with the C spanner that they provide you to adjust the chain with, and it's better to replace it, and it was going to cost a couple of £100 to get it sorted. There was a couple of tiny little things I really didn't want to spend time or money on fixing, and I'd got the knowledge out of that bike that I wanted, in the respect that I do like a tourer, with the panniers and everything else. And ultimately what I'd like to do, I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the last video, is I'd like to get a Ducati Multistrada 1200. I think they started doing those on about 2010, and they've dropped in value a little bit now to around about £5 and upwards. So I'm hoping over the winter something will come along. Somebody needs the cash, you know, prices tumble in the winter with bikes anyway, as I'm sure you know. So I'm looking out for one of them, basically. But in the meantime, I've got this little bad boy. As I said, it's a 2007. It's got 16,000 and whatever miles I put on it today, because it came to me at 15,999. So I've just put a tenner's worth of petrol in it. I insured it, of course, and I haven't done a huge amount else. I've done what I normally do, and that's put the wheel decals on. Some people like it, some people don't. I just think black wheels on a black bike, they just look a little bit dull, and it just brightens everything up, I think, a little bit. But talking about those wheel decals, I did exactly the same on the Speed Triple 1050 that you might have seen the video on that. I put the exact same decals on, although they said Triumph Racing, and these of course say Suzuki Racing. Exactly the same thing though. And the guy, we ended up becoming friends on Facebook, so he put a shout out on the Speed Triple 1050 owners forum for a couple of things he was concerned about, and then he ended up putting a picture on of his back wheel with a big chunk of paint missing, because he decided he didn't like the decals, and he pulled them off, and lo and behold, it took a bit of paint with it. I shouldn't laugh, but he's got a newer model rear wheel now anyway, which I think he was planning on doing anyway, so it all worked out okay. But it just goes to show I liked them, he didn't, wanted to take them off. Personal choices, isn't it? Of course, you know. Now, what have I done? Not a great deal. I did consider getting an LED stealth black with tinted rear light and a smaller number plate. They've already got LED indicators on, but there's those really shitty ones that I don't like. They were also on the, oh blimey, the ZRX 1200R as well. The Kawasaki, I'm thinking it's exactly the same, and they just look tired. I've got some more. I might change them over, because obviously whoever's put them on has put a new relay in, or put some inline relays in to stop the super flash. And somebody else has also put an LED bulb in there, but I don't think they've changed that bulb, so I might put a 100-watt ice white bulb in there, just because it's so bloody easy. And I think, after my little ride today, I think this light here has been powder coated black, because it's not a very good job, and I'm sure it's supposed to be chrome. It did come with this little kind of cockpit fairing as well, but it was so fucking ugly. It just, I think it destroyed the look of the bike. I think it looks 10 times better now without it. There's also a nice radiator guard there as well, so that saves me a few quid, the usual just Bandit stuff. And he had some hideous chrome mirrors on, you know, those round mirrors. Very in keeping, I suppose, with the age of the bike, but I prefer these. These came with another bike, and I just stuck them on for today, just to go out for a ride. But I have actually got some more exactly like this coming from AliExpress, I think, and of course it fit much more flush there as well. And at the moment I'm trying to find a yoke protector, a decent one. I found a cheapy shitty one off eBay. I literally didn't even bother putting it on. I've got a carbon fibre surround thing to fit on here, as always, and I'm going to change this. These handlebar grips, awful, really grim, nasty things. I don't understand why anybody would put those on, but somebody did, and I've got to deal with that now. As you can see there, look, it does need a yoke protector, or carbon cover of some sort, because it looks a bit grody there. Now this is one of the things that confused me. Now when you switch everything on, probably won't bloody switch on now, of course. When you switch everything on, it does the usual bits and bobs. Now this side of the clock here changed for the 1250s, but it's on this, which is the 1200, because this is the last year they made the 1200. So it's a little bit weird, because I'm sure that these yoke clamps here as well, they're round on the 1250, but they're not on here. But that's on the 1250, this isn't. There's a few little bits and bobs, which, I mean, the tank is the same shape as the 1250, but it's only the 1200. A few little bits and bobs which I can't quite, you know, it's almost like they raided the parts bin, threw this together for the last year, and then brought out the 1250. Not sure. Generally speaking, lovely nick. It's got a tiny little kind of hairline scratch there. I can't even feel it with my fingernails, so I'm going to try and wet and dry that out and polish it back. I'm hoping to do more good than bad when I do that, but me and paintwork on cars and bikes is never a great combination, to be fair. I don't often get it perfect. I was also, and I may still, going to do what I did with the XJR 1300. I was going to sand this back with start off with some 800 wet and dry, and then polish it with metal polish. But I don't know what I'm going to do with it, because I didn't buy this to sell it straight away, obviously, because I don't really do that. I want to experience it first, and it's now almost October, so the window of opportunity is kind of gone when it comes to selling bikes. I don't think I'd see what I want for it back if I went to sell it now, so I might just keep it over the spring. Not sure. Those downpipes as well, I'm going to polish those up as well, but I'm not going to do it now because it seems pointless, because obviously all the shitty weather's coming. I have ACF 50'd it already. I just gave it a massive half a bottle coat everywhere of ACF 50 in preparation for the winter. Another little quirk, the front mudguard, ABS. It's not ABS. There's no ABS ring. And there's no wire coming down from the brake servo, so it's not an ABS. So it's obviously had a new front mudguard at some point for some reason, but there's nothing to be alarmed about, as it were. Well, I did a HPI check. I like the belly pan, I've got to say. That's obviously not a standard thing, but I like that. Well, fucking hell, great big lorry coming now. I have to get out of his way. Going back to the engine, yeah, polishing. I think that's the key for this, and it's got a little bit of pitting here and there, but nothing major, you know. That little scratch on the tank, yeah, I've got to deal with that, I guess, but that's going to be when I can be bothered. I'm not sure what to do about this little bit of pitting here as well. You can just spray these, i.e. take the big shaft out and mask everything up and just spray it black, maybe a flat black. Not sure. Again, if I do decide to keep this over the winter, it gives me so much opportunity to do stuff that I've wanted to do, but I invariably end up selling the bike and never get round to it, and then somebody else does. So maybe this will be the bike that I do more work on than I usually do. Nice aftermarket levers as well, you know, the flip up ones, not the cheap nasties from China, but then they put these on. I mean, oh, just don't get me started. Again, these little horrible indicators, don't like them at all. What else? Not a huge amount to say. I mean, I've only had the bike about 2 weeks, and this is my first real proper ride on it. Now, talking about the ride, great. It really, I mean, this turns in like a Z750's Kawasaki. It feels so light, and when you consider it's a big 1200 lump in here, you wouldn't know it. When you're riding around on this, you can, it's what they call flickable. You can really throw this bad boy about. You should never be scared of it, but you know, it does look rather intimidating, especially from that angle with the big fat tank on there and everything else. I can understand why people would think, oh my Christ, it's huge, it's a beast. It's not. It will get you into trouble pretty quickly. I mean, I've noticed that today. A quick twist of the throttle and you're gone. I mean, it's a 1200cc bike. It's not going to hang about. But it's one of the last carb models as well, and I think it could do with a carb balance. But again, you know, if I'm going to keep this over the winter, I'll get it done in spring. It's got a Scott oiler as well, which I've never had on a bike. It's completely bloody empty, so it's not doing a huge amount of good at the moment, but the oil replacement is about $9.99 off eBay, and it's very simple to refill it, so I'll do that if I keep it anyway. Sorry, going back to the ride anyway, yeah, anything up to about 60 miles an hour, perfect. You know, you don't feel any vibrations, anything at all. when you hit 65, 70, that's when it starts to get a bit uncomfortable, and it's all in the arse. It feels like you've got a rampant rabbit stuck up you. Nothing through the pegs, nothing through the handlebars. It's smooth as silk, but you really feel it on your posterior. Again, it could be the carb balance, because I remember when I mentioned this on the XJR 1300, after I sold it, people were saying, well, it's probably just a carb balance issue. So maybe it is. I mean, as I said, if I keep it and I do a bit more work than usual, I'll look into that. I'll get them done, because it's not expensive. It's 50 quid to get the carbs balance. So, you know, why wouldn't you if you're going to keep the bike for a little while? I won't do much else to it. It all depends on what I decide to do with it. It's not my forever bike. As I said, what I really want is a Ducati Multistrada 1200, because it's still not an old man's bike. It's not a GS 1200 Beamer with metal luggage, but you know, it's got a bit of individuality about it. But you can go touring on it if you really want to. He has put Renthals on there. I say he, one of the previous owners has put Renthal bars on there. I think these are mediums. I think it would benefit from the higher ones, because I think they do a low, medium and high, and it just needs to come up just an extra inch maybe. That would make it more, for me, more comfortable, I think. And at some point there was actually a 12 volt socket and USB kind of connector clamped onto this bar here, and it looked ugly, and whenever you revved the bike it rattled basically. So that came straight off. I just disconnected it rather from the battery, pulled it all through and threw it in the bin. And obviously there's a sat-nav mount, so that all makes sense. I'm going to replace this sat-nav mount here with a proper Allen bolt and get another cap and just make that all look a little bit more uniform. What else? Not a great deal. There is one tiny little thing as well, just on this side here, the sticker here. I could replace that. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Bloody wasps everywhere because they don't realise that Christmas is coming, bastards. This exhaust as well. I will start it up for you because it sounds... how can we describe this? It sounds fruity. Let's get this bad boy up and running. Hold on a sec, I've got to pull the bloody clutch in as usual. Now this is obviously an aftermarket exhaust. I don't particularly like it, and I did notice after I bought the bike that it's got a bloody great split rather in the link pipe that pretty much goes all the way around, and it looks like it's about to fall off, so we've got to get a new link pipe. It sounds awesome though. Yeah, doesn't it? Although a bit obnoxious. He did give me a baffle, to be fair, so I mean, I don't mind it, I suppose, in that respect, but it is a bit obnoxious. But I've got to spend 20 quid now on a bloody link pipe, because that, as you can see, it's not great. It's actually splitting, by the looks of it, from the centre stand. That's the other thing, it's got a centre stand, very easy to work on. It's splitting the link pipe from the centre stand kind of stopper here. It looks like it's just literally too much pressure, maybe somebody just constantly clacking it up and down, and it's just split. I mean, they're only, I think they're about a tenner off eBay for a new link pipe, and it's, what is it, 2 bolts really, I suppose, one to the headers or the downpipes, and then one for the end can. But I do want to get a carbon fibre end can on here, because I just think with a black bike, a nice carbon fibre end can, slightly longer, maybe 2 or 3 inches longer as well, not this stubby. And I could sell that stubby anyway, maybe get 60, 70 quid for that and spend a couple of £100 on a nice proper. I'd like a GPR can on here because they're great and they look great in carbon. So maybe I'll do that. But again, if I sell it, I won't bother, because there's no point in spending money on a bike you're going to sell. But I haven't made up my mind. One other thing that I did notice when I bought it is the brake pads. Rusty. I don't think I've ever seen rusty brake pads, so I think this bike has spent quite a bit of time outside in the elements, as it will do this winter, but it's not looking too bad. Price wise, these are, well, again, it depends on the miles, doesn't it? I mean, it's a 2007, so it's getting on for 12 years old now, but it's only done 16,000 miles, just clicked over 16,000 miles. It's got a full MOT with no advisories, so you'd think somewhere between £2,500 and £3,000, depending on when you sell it and how much the person wants it. You know, because some people, they just fall in love with the bike and say, that's the one, I love the looks, I've got to have it. And if that's the person that comes to see this, then, you know, they may pay me 2,800 quid for it. If it's just somebody who wants a cheapish run around, but still quite sexy and a big, beefy kind of retro muscle bike, and they don't have a huge amount of money, £2,500. You know, it doesn't owe me a huge amount. It owes me basically what the Sprint ST 1050 owes me, because I haven't really spent any money on this yet. But I haven't decided. I mean, it's a real quandary because I do like riding it, but I couldn't take it touring because as soon as you hit 70 miles an hour, that vibration through the seat is it's just unmanageable. But oddly enough, nothing through the pegs and nothing through the bars. So I'm going to take it to my mate down at JP Motorworks, who's not too far away from me, great guy, see what he can suggest to get rid of that vibration. He may suggest a new seat. I don't know if that's an option. Maybe I should join a forum for these and let them know my concerns about this vibration. Or maybe it's just the inline 4 Bandit 1200 quirk that it vibrates like a bastard at 70 miles an hour. Like the XJ 1300 used to vibrate terribly through the pegs and the bars at the same speed, but didn't through the seat. So every bike's different, I suppose, in that respect. Anyway, I'm going to carry on riding now because, as I said, Christmas is bloody coming, and you wouldn't know though at the moment it's about 20 degrees and beautiful and sunny down here in Cornwall. So I'm going to get back on this big old girl and carry on riding for a little while. If you've got one of these and you've got any suggestions or comments or anything I've mentioned that you say, right, yeah, I know what that is, just drop it in the comments, you know. And if you haven't subscribed, then do subscribe. This video will probably be going out around about Christmas time, as I said, because I've got a couple that I haven't actually posted yet. I'm kind of tripping myself up with videos because I've changed bikes too many times this year. But I don't think this is going to sell before 2019. I don't have any hurry to sell it. It needs a bit of work, and I should keep something over the winter as a project and do a little bit more on it, as opposed to just get in, get out, and move on kind of thing. But that, I suppose, all depends on whether a Ducati Multistrada 1200 comes along, because if that comes along, then I'm going to need some money, aren't I, to buy it. But again, what would be the point in buying one right now? You know, I wouldn't use it till spring anyway, so it would sit outside rotting. I'd have 2 bikes sitting outside rotting. So anyway, enough waffle. As I said, if you've got any comments, any suggestions, you've got one of these, any advice on this vibration issue, or you just want to say hi, drop it in the comments. Always a pleasure to see people, you know, commenting on the bikes that I review, as it were, and give you my opinions on, and, you know, let you know how I'm getting on with them. So as I said, just drop it in the comments and look out for the next video, which I imagine, as I said, will be in the new year, if we're not already in the new year. All right, that's it from me now. Take care. See you later.